All right. Get this queued up. All right, here we go.
Let's do it.
Sweet. So we are live in the group. Happy Monday, everybody. Happy Monday, Mike. How are you doing, buddy? Feeling
doing
good?
Great. Yeah. We just had our baby last Wednesday, and she's doing great. Mama's doing great too, and it's a wonderful experience. So I'm super excited to bring her in, but also excited for the topic today too. So let's get back to it.
Man. That's awesome. That's awesome.
How about you? You doing good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I was just going through something that we can talk about that I do every week that I learned from one of my mentors on how I set myself up for getting stuff done for the week and doing all that. Yeah, man, had a good weekend, played in a tournament this weekend, won on Friday. And then Saturday, we're hanging in tough, but the guy played against shot a 79. He was just playing lights out, and we ended up losing on like the 16th hole. Thought we had him, and then he literally chipped one in from like the rough. I was like, all right, man. Like he was just having a fire day. So, but anyway, it was a good weekend. Then hung out with my wife and my son yesterday. Bunch, went to the park, saw my nephews. Watched Billions last night, which I didn't even realize was back on TV. I love that show. It's so good.
Nice.
So yeah, man.
I haven't seen that one.
It's really good. I got hooked on it. But anyway, today we're talking about knowing your numbers, and there's a few different categories, right? And so like we said in the email, like this isn't always the sexiest topic, but this is the stuff that moves the needle. And Tony Robbins talks about like where focus goes, energy flows. So like if you're not paying attention to your numbers and you're saying that you want to be a millionaire or whatever your goal is, like you don't even know if you're making progress. A lot of people don't even know what their net worth is, right? And so briefly, your net worth is take all of your assets minus all of your liabilities, and that is your net worth. So if you've got a house, some cars, some cash, some investments, minus whatever you owe on those, that is what your net worth is. So to become a quote unquote millionaire, your assets minus liabilities has to be at least $1 million, right? And so that's just one key piece of it. The next is obviously understanding what your income is and understanding what your expenses are. I will tell you this, and this is where I don't, the Dave Ramseys of the world, they definitely help a lot of people, but it keeps you broke. It keeps you poor. So what I mean by that is most of the money experts out there, they get you to focus on your expenses all the time. Like reduce your expenses, reduce your expenses, reduce your expenses. The problem with that is you can only go so low. Like you have to pay some type of rent. You have to pay for groceries. You have to pay for transportation. You have to pay for these things at some point. So you can only shrink that so low, but you can take your income up as high as you want to go. So yes, you want to understand your expenses. You don't want to spend more than you make, but at the same time, I'd rather see you focus more on increasing your income versus decreasing your expenses as low as humanly possible. Because the whole point of this is to enjoy the fruits of our labor and continue to build wealth and continue to grow. So in order to do that, you have to create more income in order to invest in more assets to keep growing your net worth, right? So that's like a 2-minute summary on that. So one of the books that really helped me with this, and I teach this in the coaching programs, is using this book called Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. And it's essentially, it's kind of like using the old envelope system that our parents or our grandparents may have used, where, you know, you get your paycheck at the end of the week or every 2 weeks or every month, whatever it is. And you take a bunch of envelopes and like, here's the grocery money, here's the money for the mortgage and insurance and everything else over here. And here's some gas money and here's some fun money or whatever. And you just allocate it out. Here's money for taxes, all these different things. And what Mike Michalowicz talks about in this book is using that same concept and just having multiple bank accounts. So have one bank that you work with, but then you open multiple accounts at that bank. So every month, all the money goes into your income account. And then on the 15th or whatever dates you want, but basically twice a month, you distribute that money out of the income account into your other account. So it's like using that envelope system. So you can essentially log into your bank and know, here's how much I have for savings or for a rainy day. Here's how much I have for investing. Here's how much I have in for taxes. Here's how much I have for living expenses. Here's how much profit I have for fund money or whatever it is for you. So it's a way to manage your money more effectively. Because what happens when you get into this business is you start making a good amount of money pretty quickly. And so we want to have an easy way to quote unquote budget or allocate that money properly so that at the end of the year, you're not owing Uncle Sam a ton of money that you don't have. Or if you have a crazy expense that happens at a property, a boiler goes out, you need a new roof, whatever it is, you have money set aside for those things. Right. So like even when COVID hit in 2020, like in the prime of it, we were fine because I've been following this system for a while and we had put money in reserves for rainy days and whatever. So like we had plenty of cash in those reserves accounts to ride us through whatever we needed to ride through. But if you read this book or if you listen to the audio, he actually makes it fun and like interesting. So like there's not a lot of like books that make this stuff fun. And I find that I personally like the audiobook, but I always listen to the audio first, and if I like it, then I'll go out and buy the physical book. This is one that you're going to want both because he does have a lot of good diagrams and everything else. And I've got some pages like earmarked and stuff like that. But listen to the audiobook. He's got some resources on his website. Follow the Profit First system and just start to get your money right. Right. But then there's other things as far as knowing your numbers, and that comes around your goals and then your habits that you're implementing to reach those goals. Right. So an example may be, say you're just starting out with short-term rentals and you're going to go the co-hosting route. So you want to generate $5,000 a month from your co-hosting business. You do a little math, figure out in your market, you should be able to do $1,000 a month per property in profit. So that means you need 5 properties. Okay. So if that's my annual goal, okay, then by the end of the first quarter, I need to have at least one of them done. I need to have at least one in the next quarter. Okay. So I need to reach out to X number of people this week. So it's something measurable. Like how many calls did you make, or how many owners did you talk to, or how many investors did you talk to? You want to create quantitative ways to measure your progress, because the win isn't going to come right away, but we want to reward ourselves for taking the action along the way to get to that goal. And we want to know that every day we're using our time as efficiently as possible. And I see this a lot. And I made this mistake early on, especially when your time is limited. You want to focus it on the right things. So at the beginning, if you're not making any money, you want to focus on dollar generating activities. So meaning going out and prospecting. Like you just need to be prospecting, right? You get your business entity set up, business bank account set up, and you go out and you start prospecting. Right? You can have a website done and all these other things and make fancy business cards and a pretty logo and all this other stuff. That's fine. But if you're not prospecting, none of that other stuff matters.
Yeah.
So you want to prospect. So you create your goals that are measurable. Again, $5,000 a month within the next 12 months. And then I create daily, weekly, monthly habits to reach those goals. And I can measure that every single day. Right? And it could be in your business. It could be in your health. It can be in your relationships. Could be setting up a weekly date night. You want to have a better relationship with your significant other? Cool. Implement a weekly or bi-weekly, whatever works for you, where you're going to make time for that person to connect. Right? I was just on a call with my business coach, and he was busting my chops a little bit because I've implemented all they call them TIs, targeted interactions, all the meetings on the business side, but he also has one on the personal side that I should be doing, creating a cadence for that, for my wife and my son and everything else. So it works both ways. And when you do that effectively, results from Mike, you remember what I put in the company tenets? It was like clarity creates confidence, creates action, creates results, right? So like that's part of like our core values, our core tenets. So like if I'm clear on what I want, it gives me confidence. to know that this is what I'm working towards, which then leads to action, which leads to results. But I want to measure that the whole way through. So if at the end of the month I didn't get the results, well, okay, how many calls did I make? How many emails did I send? How many people did I talk to? And if I'm falling short, okay, what types of people were I talking to? Maybe I need to recalibrate who my target market is, or maybe I just need to up my calls and up my emails. Right. But if you don't have that data, if you're not looking at that kind of stuff, you're just shooting in the dark and you're wasting your time. You're not being as efficient as possible. So when people tell me they don't have enough time, I'm like, show me your calendar, show me where you're spending your time, and I'll explain to you why you're not getting the results that you want.
Yeah. I wish I did have my discipline equals freedom t-shirt on earlier today, but this is just implementing discipline into each aspect of life. So when you know your numbers on each aspect of life, whether that's, financials or your business or your health or your relationships, like you mentioned earlier, want to have a weekly date night. Like that is a tangible number that you can hit, and you're implementing discipline into your relationships. Or it's, I want to call my mom once a week, or it's, I want to reach out to an old friend, once a week. Maybe that old friend is in real estate, or I want to reach out to 3 investors this week. So it's just implementing discipline into each area of life, and putting numbers behind that, and really getting that solid. One question I was going to ask you at the beginning, well, actually, I got 2 questions for you. One, did you use any tools, or I know you use Google Sheets now. Like, what tools did you do to track your expenses? And then the second question is, what tools do you use now or have used in the past to track all the other areas of life too, and discipline in the others?
Yeah, sure. So one of the easiest tools to use out there is just Mint, like mint.com. It's from Intuit. So that's what I use to track my net worth. I've tried some others. There was one that I was using called Banktivity that I really liked on my Mac, but I found that it kept losing the connection to the banks and it was driving me nuts. I'd have to go in and delete it and reconnect it over and over and over again. And I was like, all right, I'm done. So I went back to Mint actually like 2 weeks ago. But I look at that at least once a week. Like, how's my net worth tracking? You can use it to track your income and expenses. I've been doing this a while now, so I know like these are my expenses. And then this is, you and I have weekly meetings. I mean, you see, like I review like where's our revenue at every single week, both on the property side, consulting side, all my other businesses, like where are we at revenue wise? And I know like what my expenses look like. And I review them at least once a month through my bookkeeper. And I track all that stuff.
I think that's super important, especially for people that are looking to leave their 9 to 5 and start a business on their own. Like, you have to know your numbers, what you're bringing in, what's going out too. Like, I use Mint especially to track our expenses. Like, where are we spending money? Are we spending? It's not like, are we spending too much money in a certain category, like travel or fun or dining? I look at that and I'm like, all right, if we're spending $1,000 on dining a month, that means I need to up my income $1,000 a month. Or if we want to afford this type of car because we just had a baby, because we need a bigger car, like I need to up my income by $1,000 to pay for that monthly payment. So just knowing your expenses and then tracking that and knowing like which areas, Mint is really, really, really good with that. And then also network tracking too. Because there's just so many different categories that we can track. But if you're looking to start a business and leave your 9 to 5, you need to know personally your numbers on how to track that. And that's something I've been doing for 5-6 years now. But once we really got clarity on what's my number, and our expenses are much higher than a normal household. And that's just because we've got a bigger vision of what we want to do and who we want to help and where we want to hit. So, and then taking that and implementing that in other areas of life too. Like, that was kind of the first area that I tracked, was like the financial side. And now I'm tracking the financial side, my 9 to 5 job, my career and business that we're starting with the short-term rentals, and then also how much fun I'm having too. Like, I'm journaling that as well. And then, who I'm hanging out with too. I'm tracking that. So there's more things than just financials to know your numbers with, like you said earlier.
a few years ago, I made something called my life scorecard in a simple Google sheet. And I would just have all of my goals in there, business, investing, spiritual, relationships, like adventure, like all sorts of good stuff. And I would just track, like, am I hitting these things? Am I happy? How much water am I drinking every day? How many times did I exercise this week? What's my body fat percentage? All these different metrics. So I could see, how was I doing? And I talked about it, I think a couple of weeks ago, or maybe I was just telling you about this offline. I can't remember, but one of the best podcast episodes I ever listened to was it was on Lewis House podcast, School of Greatness. He interviewed Rob Deerdeck from I mean, he's all over the place. He has like DC shoes, and he has that show Ridiculousness, and he kind of acts like a goofball on TV, but he's one of the most intentional people with his time and his life that I've ever witnessed. It's incredible. Like, he tracks everything from simple things like you were saying about, like, how happy was he today? Like, all these different metrics that were just fascinating to me. On He's so deliberate with his time and with his life and what he's creating with it. I was like, man, if myself and everybody could implement 20% of what he's doing, we'd be living so much more purposeful than just kind of floating through the day, just checking things off on our to-do list, because there's always going to be stuff to do. And especially, like, when I first went full time with this business and I left my job and I was full time and there's nobody telling me what to do anymore, it was a little overwhelming, honestly, because how do you structure your day? Like, what do you focus on first? How do you prioritize different things? And getting clear on where you're going, what are the goals, and then what do I want my lifestyle to look like? You can start to create your own schedule and start to build systems and processes and scale to add team members to allow you to live that lifestyle. But if you don't have that vision, if you're not tracking that progress, it's like shooting darts in the dark. Like, you don't know where you're going to end up.
Yeah. And if you're in a 9 to 5 and have been for a while, or if you've even had your own business as well, like, you can get into these spurts of somebody else is making my to-do list. Like, your boss is giving you new projects, or your customers are giving you new projects, and they're kind of taking your schedule and making it what you want. The beauty of what we're doing and with these businesses is we're creating our own schedule, and we're liable for pretty much every minute and every activity that we take daily. But that's also the beauty of it too. Like, it's the beauty of being able to create your own schedule, create your own time, do things that you want to do, implement new things that you want to. But you can only do that if you implement discipline in each area that you want to focus on. It's these things work in any area. It's just implementing daily. That's the tougher part that most people don't do. We always talk about people saying, "Oh, I don't have enough time to start this business," or, "Oh, I don't have enough time to lose weight," or, "Oh, I don't have enough time to hit the gym." It's like, it's there. You may have to leave a couple things in another area, or make time. Like, how do you make time? You just become more disciplined by tracking different areas of your life. So,
and focusing on that 80-20 rule of, like, what's the 20% of things that are going to make 80% of the difference, right? Like, my buddy Mark Simpson, he just put out a little snippet, I think it was on Instagram, about how when he first started his business, like, he was working 1,000,000 hours and he kind of missed seeing his first 2 kids growing up a little bit. And then he just reset and recommitted when they had their 3rd kid. He's like, I'm not doing this anymore. And he redesigned everything, and he looked at everything that he was doing, and he looked at the 20% that was moving the needle, and that's all he does. And he's delegated the rest, and he only works 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. every day. That's it. 5 days a week, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And that's it. I'll be honest, I work more than that, but it's something to shoot for. And it depends on what your goals are too, but when you're clear on the lifestyle and different things, and I've recommended it a couple times, do a 2-week time study. Like, seriously, print out the sheet every 15 minutes, write down what you're working on, and you'll start to see patterns of inefficiencies and time wasters. And wow, I spent 6 hours, trying to create some new website on Wix when I could have been prospecting and just outsourcing that for a couple $100. Like, you're going to start to see, man, if I could just focus on these few things, that would really move the needle, you know? And it's also liberating, but you got to let go of control too. And you could have processes and different things in place to do that, but it's totally doable. You just got to keep moving one foot in front of the other, making little bits of progress every single day so that you don't wake up a year from now and you're in the exact same position you were 12 months ago.
Yeah. Know your numbers.
That's it. And the discipline, it's not the sexy stuff. Like, if you talk to any ridiculously successful business person, they'll tell you like the fortune is in like the little mundane daily disciplines. But that's what gives you the freedom. That's what gives you the lasting success. It's not about creating the next unbelievable product or the next crazy thing. It's like, if I just continue to do these things every day or every week, they'll keep stacking on top of each other every single day. That's it.
It's a campaign. Discipline is a campaign, and it's a daily struggle. It is. And discipline's not easy, but if you can implement it in areas that are important to you, that's way easier than areas that are not important to you.
And if you get an accountability buddy, it makes it a lot easier. It makes it a lot easier.
That's very true. Maybe we should talk about that next week. How to find an accountability partner. Yeah. And what to do with that person. That'd be a good topic.
I'll give you one little tip and then we'll dive into it next week. The key for an accountability partner is you guys, ladies, you have to be all in and hold each other accountable and be okay challenging each other. Just be like, don't let each other off the hook. If I told Mike, hey man, I'm going to work out 5 times this week and I only worked out 3, he's gonna be like, what are you doing, man? Like, why do you, I thought this was important to you. I want you to succeed. So stop slacking, and it's holding yourselves to higher standards.
Yeah.
Pomiel says, hi guys, I've made up my mind. I want to expand into Alabama. Do you have graduate of your program in the Huntsville area? Are you looking for a manager or are you looking to do it yourself in Alabama?
I like that name. Pommy?
Yeah, I apologize if I said that wrong. Pommy, something like that.
Palmer is the name of ours, so I guess that's why I like it.
All right, well, let us know in the comments and we'll see if we can hook you up either way. But that's it for this week. Mike, what do we got on tap for tomorrow's Tuesdays with Mike and Mike?
I always do this. Give me 1 second.
No worries.
I need to have this pulled up every week. All right. So this is a good one. Maybe you can interview me on this one. How to run your business while still working a 9 to 5. So
yeah, that'll be a good one. So tomorrow we'll cover how to build it too, because the building piece is difficult. And then how do you run it? How much time does it take? What do you focus on? How do you make the time to do what you need to do to keep growing so that eventually you replace that income and you can leave and go full-time if that's what you want to do?
Yep.
So
sure. Looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
And then we've got the webinar on Wednesday too.
Oh yeah. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah. We've got the webinar 1 o'clock.
Yeah. 1 o'clock on Wednesday.
1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I'll throw the link in the chat. We're doing these about once a month now, where Mike and I will do like an hour and 15, hour and a half, like deep dive session on how to launch, automate, and scale a short-term rental business. What makes a good market? How to identify your ideal guest avatar, the different systems that you need to automate the business, and then the different models you can use to start building this business, whether you have a decent chunk of cash, a little bit of cash, or no money at all. All 3 different models and how you can really start to scale this business to reach financial freedom. So that'll be on Wednesday at 1 o'clock Eastern. I just popped the link into the chat so you guys can register for that. It's totally free. And we'll see everybody tomorrow for Tuesdays with Mike and Mike. Thanks again, buddy. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you. See you.
All right. Take care, everybody.